What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining in for this week's tutorial. This week we're talking about iPhone photography. A lot of the times if I'm on vacation, I hate carrying around my DSLR because it's so heavy, and frankly I feel like I'm working when I should be having fun. But 9 times out of 10 I regret not having my DSLR because I can't take the photos that I'm expected to take. But I found a medium solution. Go into your app store now and download ProCamera for your iPhone. Inside here, it's going to give us the option to shoot RAW, auto exposure bracketing, and so much more. Download it now, and let's get started. Now that the ProCamera app is installed on your phone, select the app, and we have our basic live view. First thing you want to do is make sure that all your settings are set up correctly. We're going to start by hitting the hamburger switch in the bottom right hand corner and selecting Settings. We want to make sure that our file format is set to RAW. That way we have more editing capabilities than we would if we had it on JPEG. I choose not to shoot JPEG plus RAW just because it takes up a lot more space on your phone, and I don't have the biggest storage capacity phone anyways. Next thing, we want to make sure that its save location is set to your camera roll so that it's easy to access across all of your Apple devices, whether it be iOS or OS X. Focus and exposure. I choose to use the exposure circle and the manual focus. From there, we're going to select the camera icon and go back to the live view. One of my favorite parts about the camera is it does have a built-in level to make sure that your shot is always perfectly level. Everything turns green when it is level. Alright, so how to use the focus. Let's say we have the focus set here on the keyboard and we want to change the circle to exposure. That way we can lock the focus on a certain point and expose for a different point, and when we're ready, snap the picture. Just a couple of different settings we can change here is the ISO sensitivity. ISO is essentially how sensitive the camera is to light. The less sensitive it is to light in this situation, the more underexposed it would be, which is what we want to do, because remember, we can always get more information out of the shadows than we can the highlights. Another way to change your exposure would be this shutter speed. A faster shutter speed means less light gets into the camera, whereas a slower shutter speed means more light comes into the camera. So this is where you can get creative. A slow shutter speed is how we get those really nice creamy waterfalls. And a fast shutter speed is how we would capture an instant in a moment's freeze water, that moment in time, or say maybe a wild animal running past, a car driving by. You want a faster shutter speed, but you would also have to compensate that by bumping up your ISO sensitivity. Now notice, the higher my sensitivity gets, the more grain there is in this image. That's kind of your trade-off. In landscape work, I try to have as low ISO as possible and change the shutter speed accordingly. Now remember, under 1/30th of a second, the shake of your hands start to come into play. Now they make many different tripods out there that will connect a phone, or of course if you're using your DSLR, you've got a tripod mount most likely already. But in this situation, I can't get a perfect exposure without moving up the ISO to 250. So that gives us the perfect exposure. It looks like 125 and 1/60th of a second is what the camera thinks is a perfect exposure. Now you can set the exposure compensation because, again, we would rather underexpose than overexpose images. So we'll go down, say maybe half a stop, and there's your photo. Alright guys, quick recap. Always underexpose your images if you can. You can pull more out of the shadows than you will be able to the highlights. Don't forget, the higher your ISO, the more grain in your image there's going to be. But don't forget, if you have too slow of a shutter speed, your image shake will come into effect and you will start to see motion blur or just blur in the image because you're moving. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and share button. Also hit the little bell so you know when the videos are posted. Look for it every Monday night, as I plan on posting one tutorial each week. Next week, we're going to be talking about editing these pictures that we just took on the phone. So please stay tuned, like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. Have a good week. We'll see ya.